occupational therapist by background, but I'm also the CEO of BrainFX, which is a brain health platform that develops digital clinical assessment tools for patients and clinicians so that they can track their brain health across the continuum by being really sensitive to sort of what happens early on, if it's a brain disorder that is neurodegenerative, or if you've had an injury, being able to really understand the impact that it's had on your real life function.
How difficult is it to assess something like this using technology?
Yeah, so what's really interesting is that as a therapist, this was really born out of my own frustration. And what we do as therapists to assess neurofunction is we have this lovely cabinet that's full of all of these assessment tools that are all paper and pencil based that we're pulling from. And it takes us up to 15 to 20 hours professionally to be able to deliver an assessment, and everybody does it slightly different. So our tools were never really meant to measure this mild to moderate or this early part of brain disorders. And a lot of the tools that we do have are not sensitive enough, but they are also not able to predict how it affects your real life. So difficult. And what we've done is we've made it so that it seems like it makes a lot of sense. So we look at somebody's skills, and we look at that from all the way from foundational all the way to complex, so that you can understand where your strengths are and where your challenges are. Because if you really understand, even when you're healthy, where that is, if something happens, then you can see why your strengths are no longer strengths or why a challenge is exacerbated. And that's our best opportunity for early intervention.
Now, does this work in terms of an individual who comes and they go through a series of questions to help to assess their brain health, or is it paired up with a therapist like yourself?
Yeah, so right now we have what's called our 360 assessment. It's our most comprehensive assessment tool, and that's delivered by a clinician who's been trained to deliver the assessment. But what it does is it takes information from the person, so their self-report, takes information from their friends and family, which combines that, and then does a performance assessment of about 60 activities that are very engaging and fun, but will give you that list of strengths and challenges so that you can get that feedback back from our analytics. That being said, this spring we have what's called BrainFX Screen that we're releasing, which is the 15-minute version that tells you should you have the more comprehensive. And this is a real opportunity to use this more at your family doctor's office, or being able to look at it at home and say, yes, I need to go and get more information.
How many people do brain disorders affect?
Yeah, so this was even staggering for me as a clinician who's worked in the field for almost 14 years. But 1 in 3 people will sustain a brain disorder over the course of their lifetime. And that's more than cancer and cardiovascular disease combined. So it's staggering, and it ranges from anywhere from concussion to brain injury, to stroke, to mental illness, and then the effects of chronic disease and dementia. So it's a wide spectrum, and it's something that I think we are developing a lot more awareness about, and people want to have this information. I mean, we go every year and get our annual physical done. But what are we doing for our brain health? Are we getting our annual cognitive?
And how do you encourage people that brain health is so important?
Yeah, so I think we're getting more awareness as we start to hear in the news things about concussion, more about the aging population, more about mental health. I think people are realizing that that's part of who they are, and that's how we look at the person. And we look at it not in we need to diagnose you and tell you what's wrong with you, but really from what are you good at? What are your strengths as well? And if you have areas of challenge, how can we improve those? And so it's done in a very real life way, not as, not as scary as some neurocognitive testing can you see. So we'll do activities that are like, hey, can you plan a day? Can you remember to put this on your calendar later? You need to go to a party this weekend. Here's the 4 things that you need to remember. So everything's done very, what we call contextually, or very real life based, so that you can take that information and go, oh, right, I get it. This is how this is going to affect my real life.